This body camera footage we're talking about today says so much about where we are as a society. My name is Brittany Page, and this is the Page Perspective. Before we get into this, I want to say welcome to my new subscribers. I so appreciate you being here. And if you're new here and haven't yet subscribed, please take a moment to click the subscribe button below. It's free and it helps me in my ongoing battle against the YouTube algorithm. If you've been here for a while, you've heard me talk about the Johnson v. Grants Pass decision handed down by the Supreme Court in June of this year, which gave the green light to cities to criminalize homelessness and adopt anti-camping laws and restrictions on sleeping outside in public spaces. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 ruling, said yes, you can arrest people for sleeping outside, even if there's no public shelter space available. Yes, you can issue citations to people sleeping outside with nowhere else to go. I've been screaming about the inhumane encampment sweeps, the dehumanizing approaches of law enforcement to people living on the street who need help, and this story out of Louisville, Kentucky, really shows the depths to which we have fallen in our humanity. As the Supreme Court opened the door to criminalizing homelessness, those living on the street have faced the most dire consequences. And Kentucky has really jumped at the opportunity to criminalize homelessness, with dozens of unlawful camping citations being issued since they put into place their Safer Kentucky Act. And now we have the body camera footage to show us just how dehumanizing and cruel all of this is. Unfortunately, the unnamed pregnant woman in this body camera footage is the perfect example. And while she encourages the public to watch the body camera footage, she did not want her name used. So you will not hear it in this video. And that's good, because there's a name I do want you to remember. The name I do want you to remember is Lieutenant Caleb Stewart. He's the head of the Louisville Metro Police Department's downtown area patrol. And this footage is from his body cam. And we're going to get to the deplorable behavior in the body camera footage, but it's important that we talk about what we know about this man first. He has actually been in the news recently for other reasons, including failing to report an officer's use of deadly force on an unhoused man, an officer who was under his supervision. He was suspended for 20 days because of his failure to report this officer, which is absurd. But again, because it's not the point of this video, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on this, and I'll simply link in the description of the video below. But the basic facts that you need to know are that Lieutenant Caleb Stewart received a complaint from a hotel loss prevention employee who witnessed Officer Jay Moss grab a homeless man by the throat, pick him up by the throat so that he ended up on his tiptoes, and then threw him to the ground by the throat. And this was after he drank a stolen drink from the hotel lobby. And there's video of it in the link. The hotel loss prevention employee called it abusive and reported it. And after reviewing the incident, including the video of all those events happening very clearly, Lieutenant Caleb Stewart said there wasn't a problem. And then after an investigation revealed it was in fact a problem and the use of force was not justified, he ended up getting suspended for 20 days. So we're already dealing with a cop who lies to cover the tracks of other abusive cops. But in addition to that, he seems particularly dedicated to the project of harassing the homeless. In fact, reading from reporting from the Courier-Journal published just a couple days ago, quote, since a Kentucky law criminalizing, quote, unlawful camping went into effect in July, its enforcement in the Commonwealth's largest city has primarily fallen to one Louisville Metro police lieutenant. At least 26 times between July 15th and November 20th, Lieutenant Caleb Stewart criminally charged people with violating the unlawful camping law for lying on blankets under overpasses, sleeping in tents on sidewalks, and otherwise living on the streets. In that same time frame, all other LMPD officers issued a combined total of 18 unlawful camping citations. In enforcing the camping ban, sometimes charging the same homeless individual on different occasions after they continue living on the street. Stewart is regularly dealing with the city's most vulnerable residents. That should send shivers down your spine. The same cop who tried to cover for an officer under his supervision who chokeslammed a homeless man struggling with mental health issues who was stealing a drink is regularly dealing with the city's most vulnerable residents. Absolutely horrifying. And you're about to see just how horrifying this is. Picture this, a rainy September Kentucky morning. And since we don't know this woman's name and we can't see her face, I want you to think of the woman that you love the most in this world. Imagine that she has fallen on hard times and she's living under a freeway overpass on a bare mattress while pregnant and she's going into labor. She doesn't have a phone. She's desperate and afraid. I want you to think of how you would want a person that you love to be treated, how you would want them to be approached. And I want you to instead see how Lieutenant Caleb Stewart treats her in this desperate and vulnerable moment. I'm going to play the beginning part of their interaction, and we'll have a timer on this clip for you because it's a little bit of a lengthier clip than I normally play. Watch this.
I'm waiting for an ambulance. I might be going into labor. Is that okay?
You said you need an ambulance?
Yeah, I need an ambulance.
Did you call for one?
I keep waiting and I don't know why.
Okay, did you already call for one?
No, I don't have a phone.
I thought you said you were waiting for one. I can
My
call.
husband just went to go find a phone to call.
You said you're in labor?
I'm leaking water. All of my embryonic fluid I'm leaking out.
104 to radio. Could you please update my location?
I hate my life so much. Y'all took my RV.
I'm going to be at East Washington and Hancock. And could you please start EMS this way? I've got a lady here that says she's going into labor.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Ma'am, how far along are you? Ma'am, you need to stop. Stop.
I'm being detained.
Yes, you're being
For
detained.
what?
You're being detained because you're unlawfully camping. How far along are you? They're asking for EMS.
I'm due October 29th. I'm going to my
She
husband.
states she's due October 29th. Okay, no, ma'am, you need to stop.
I gotta go to the hospital.
I've got EMS.
Okay, so what the fuck am I doing wrong?
Code 3, please.
I'm walking out to the
Okay,
street.
I've got EMS. I just called for
Okay,
EMS.
what am I doing wrong walking out towards the street for EMS?
Okay, fine. Let's walk out towards the street then.
Damn. Y'all are fucking evil people.
Do you have an ID on you?
Y'all are evil people. Why are y'all
Ma'am,
so
what's your last name?
evil?
I played a lengthier clip than I normally would because I wanted you to hear and see the weight of this woman's pain, her emotional pain, her physical pain, the weight of her statement that she hates her life so much, how she had an RV but it was taken from her, how the armed agents of the state continue to present themselves only for harassment and not help, prompting her to characterize their role in her terror as evil. And watching that, who can argue? I mean, this is routine for Caleb Stewart, given the prolific number of citations he's issuing to vulnerable people in need of help. And you can hear it in his flippant and dismissive tone and approach. Imagine facing this situation and being so callous in your treatment toward another human being. Now, this body camera footage is 15 minutes. We're not going to play the whole thing. After this initial interaction, the woman waits near the street for an ambulance while Caleb Stewart goes back to his car to write her a citation. And he takes several minutes to write this citation. And I want to read from Kentucky Public Radio, who obtained this body camera footage regarding the situation. Quote, In his police report, Stewart did not reference the pregnancy or her immediate departure in an ambulance. He simply wrote, quote, "Officer observed listed subject camping underneath the interstate bridge at listed location by utilizing camping paraphernalia, parenthetically, mattress, blanket, pillow, as bedding. Subject has previously been warned about this statute area is not designated as a camping or sleeping area." Camping paraphernalia. Disgusting. Also, the reason he didn't reference the pregnancy, let's hear directly from Caleb Stewart on that. This moment that we're going to play is right when he gets in his car to begin writing his citation.
So I don't believe for 1 second this lady's going into labor, but I called EMS, asked for code 3 just in case I'm wrong.
He doesn't believe for 1 second that she's in labor because, well, he has contempt for the vulnerable people that he works with on a daily basis. And guess what? She was in labor. Reading again from the Kentucky Public Radio, quote, "Later that day, she gave birth to her child," according to her attorney, public defender Ryan Dischinger. He said, "Both the woman and her son are healthy 3 months later, and the family is now in shelter without assistance from LMPD or the court system." Quote, "The reality for her and for anyone who's homeless in Kentucky is that they are constantly and unavoidably breaking this law. What she needed was help and compassion, and instead she was met with violence." Now she's waiting for a late January trial date on her citation, which could carry a fine and requires the people charged with street camping, who are mostly homeless individuals, to appear before a judge. How is this cartoonish cruelty supported by anyone? I mean, how does anyone think that this solves homelessness? How does anyone think that this makes the situation any better? It doesn't. We cannot arrest our way out of the housing affordability crisis. We cannot issue citations to people to encourage them to make better choices. In the body cam footage, this woman said that she had an RV that she was living in to help her stay off the streets, but it was impounded, and she couldn't afford the $6,000 to get it back and was pushed to the streets. Zero compassion, zero empathy. And you see that continue when he finally finishes his citation writing and walks over to give it to her.
I assume that's the EMS coming for you, okay? Alright, I'm issuing you a citation for unlawful camping, okay? You can't camp out or sleep on sidewalks, underneath underpasses or bridges, and we've warned you about this before, okay? You've got a court date on November the 8th at 9 a.m. at the courthouse at 600 West Jefferson. If you fail to appear, judge may potentially issue a warrant, okay?
I'm glad y'all got this job to help the homeless and not help society.
Okay, EMS is here.
Y'all got this job to help the homeless, bro. People that don't even really do anything to help us.
Okay, are you going to give EMS any problems?
No, I want you to get away from me.
Are you going to give EMS any problems? As though she has done anything to indicate that she's going to give anyone any problems in her desperate pleas for help, you absolute coward. He says, you can't camp outside. You have a court date. No offer of help, no offer for shelter, no calling a social worker or other support services except for the ambulance for the labor he doesn't believe she's in, that she is very much in because she had a baby later that day. Every word out of his mouth, every choice he made, makes it very clear that he has contempt for the people that he is supposed to serve. We knew this was inevitable when the Supreme Court gave the green light to cities to criminalize homelessness, but there's a reason this woman didn't want to identify herself while simultaneously wanting the public to see it. This is the cruelty rained down upon those living on the street every single day because they do not have shelter. They do not have a place to live. That's it. And it's unacceptable. Our society is allowing this, is permitting this, And inevitably, there will be people in my comments defending what is indefensible. Housing solves homelessness, full stop. If you are interested in solving this problem, you will look toward evidence-based solutions. And I can tell you right now, those solutions do not involve handcuffs. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below or call 657-464-7609 and then leave me a fewer than 3-minute voicemail or send an email to idoubitit@dollamore.com. You can support my work by becoming a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month, and you do that by clicking the join button below. You can also support me on Patreon if you prefer at patreon.com/idoubtitpodcast. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you caring about these issues. It is our care and concern, our activism, our pushing our elected officials, our continued engagement that will make a difference. And if you see someone on the street this holiday season, give them some cash. Take care, and I'll see you next time.